Web, Ib Web, Karan, some. Got another official thanks thing going down here. Essex County All Day Edition. I'm doing. Got me a Super Bowl champion. Man, blessings just keep continuing here. Like I said, just want to thank, like I said, everybody who done jumped on and talked or what have you here. Like I said, it's just been great. Those who've been listening and been checking them out too, man. Like I said, I'm just flattered and just taken back by all of this. This is like just been something real cool. Like I said, I just been having a total joy just doing all of this. But with that said, though, like I said, I got me a Super Bowl champion, actually from the same city, Orange. Like I said, very proud of him. Like I said, he was way after me, a little after me, this old head here. Jay Alford. Like I said, I'm looking forward to just one meeting him, never met him, just seen his pictures and everything else, plastered around here. Like I said, very extraordinary man here. Like I said, looking forward to getting to know a little bit about him. So just hold tight. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, man?
Nah, ain't nothing. I'm Ibn here. Like I said, I'm pleasure's 1,000% all mine, man. Appreciate you taking some time out just to kick it with me for a few.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me, man. I appreciate it.
yeah. Nah, definitely, man. I know Orange Head here, like I said. So I'll just take it back. Like I said, I do a little 10, 20-second little intro at the beginning. But what I was just saying, I was just like, wow, I got me a Super Bowl champion. I mean,
Facts.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
From my hometown, from
Right.
Orange, 07050 here, man. Like I said, so
Love it, love it,
I'm
love
just
it,
the
love
light
it.
here. Now, I don't know. I'm not sure if like I said, you're just aware of some of this. Like what I've been doing again, whether it was
Am I about cigar? Am I right?
do your thing, man. Do
Okay.
your thing. Nah. When I saw you have it, I was like, you ain't splitting this tobacco out, is he?
Oh, nah.
Yeah, about to say, I know it's legal in Jersey now. I don't know if
Yeah,
all
nah, that ain't it.
nah, that's what it is, man. But yeah, as I was saying, I've been doing this, for a few months now, man. Like I said, initially started just media family, everything else, man, and I just started going into sports and other avenues as well too. Just people I've heard of, knew of, or whatever the case is, admiration for, what have you. So it just snowballed, man. So
Right.
like I said, I've been very, very blessed, man, to have people such as yourself and others on, man. So just to take time out their day, and I know life right now is crazy for everybody. And even with that being said, man, first of all, hopefully you're safe, your family and all your loved ones, everybody's in good shape here.
Yeah, everybody good. I mean, for the most part. I did lose my godfather like maybe a couple months ago to it. But other than that, like I mean, yeah, everybody else good.
My condolences on that, man. I know this is definitely real out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. With all that being said, man, well, you born in Orange? I mean, you somewhere else?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Orange. I grew up on a little street that not too many people know about really. It's because it's like on the cusp of East Orange and Orange. So it's like right by the Wendy's. It's called Prince Street, right? So it's like it's a statue, but it's a dead end street. So I grew up there my whole life. My grandmother been there for 70 plus years. All my brothers and sisters, that's where we came from.
Apart my ignorance,
Yeah.
Wendy.
Yeah, so you know the Wendy's in East Orange?
The one
So
I'm talking all the way. I only Wendy's I knew was down Central
yeah,
Ave
so
by
no,
mine.
Main Street. So we was
My
right off.
bad, my bad. I'm with you now. Wow,
Yeah, yeah, right.
about to get my
So
Jersey car
so you know
revoked.
that McDonald's, and then it's like that statue like in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
So
I
it's a
know
little
exactly.
dead end street that's right there that a lot of people miss because it's a
Okay.
dead end street. But yeah, we grew up there my whole life.
Okay. Nah, all right, I'm good now, man. I was about to get my whole Jersey pass revoked, man. I'm
Right.
good. Yeah, nah, is your normal childhood, regular childhood. See, you guys dead end street, so
So
a
I
lot of
mean,
fun could be had.
yeah. So I mean, as normal as I guess the majority of I would say the majority of what Orange usually look like, because we're, inner city, right? So I wouldn't say typically, but I mean, so for me, I didn't grow up with my mom or my father. I never knew my father.
Okay.
My mother, she was strung out on drugs. I mean, like it was the era.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother raised all of us. So it was five of us. I had a brother and then I had three sisters and me. And she raised us all. So I mean, to me, it was normal. I mean, for the most part, but I mean, like, you know, if you tell this story to anybody else who don't really know what, you know, what growing up in the inner city looks like, then it would seem harsh. But for us, it was fine.
Yeah, what stuff you get involved with as a kid, man? Whether it was sports, any other activities, or what you get
Um,
into?
so what's crazy is that I was I was a big drawer, so I love to draw. Like that was my first love, you know, uh, period point blank. That's what I do. If you see Jay, you knew that's what I was doing. I was drawing
Yeah.
somewhere. So I didn't really get into sports. Let me take it back. I was always, so even though I did draw a lot, I was always the big athletic kid. You know, I was chubby growing up,
Okay.
but I was still just very athletic. You know, and that's for me and my brother, and you know, most of us growing up. I was just always the big guy that could run, I could move, I could do this, I could do that. But it was never for structured sports. Like this was something that, you know, I would go outside and do. You know, we had a bunch of kids that grew up in that area. So, you know, for us to go outside and play street football,
Hmm.
that was, you know, that was easy. So it was not structured in the sense of we had to go to practice every day. This is just something that we did, you know, because we were kids growing up being outside.
Getting
You
around the
know, so I
way.
was
Yeah.
always a big kid that could move. So it didn't really get, and I would say it started getting, I guess, and I wouldn't even say that. Like it was one day I was outside and I was holding a bat the wrong way, right? Because I didn't know how to play baseball, but baseball was my first sport that I ever started to play.
Okay.
Baseball, then it was basketball, football was last. So I was holding the bat the wrong way, and I would say I was maybe 8 or 9, something like that. And my godfather, Darryl Harrington, he's you know, he was big in Orange. You know, he was my next door neighbor, and he came outside, and he was like, well, what are you doing? You know, because I was holding the bat, I was standing on the right hand side, right, because everybody else was right-handed, but
Right.
I'm left-handed. You know, so I'm trying to make it comfortable for me on, you know, which is the left hand holding the bat, but I was
Hmm.
standing on the right side, and it was completely wrong. So he came out and he was like, "What are you doing?" You know, I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to hit the ball." He was like, "Well, you're wrong." So he helped me out in that aspect, and then baseball is what I started playing. You know, that's the sport that I really got in tune with because it was the first sport that I actually structured sports was the one that I was just like, oh, okay, I can do this, you know, because now I can switch hit, I can play first base, I could do all of this. But again, I was an athletic kid, you know, growing up. So I could, you know, once I seen it, I could pick it up, you
Hmm.
know. So he didn't introduce me to basketball. So then now I started playing structured basketball. And again, I started picking that up pretty quick. And it was just like, oh, okay, I could do this too. Football didn't come around until I would say 12, maybe 12 or 13, something like that.
Okay.
I mean, and then after that, you know, it was he introduced me, and that was I was 12. Yeah, I was 12. Yeah, because I wasn't even in the high school yet. And then and Orange didn't have an unlimited, you know, team at the time. You know, Pop Warner had they had a weight limit. And I clearly exceeded the weight limit. Like it was just like there's no way you could play Pop Warner. And this was like
Yeah.
growing up. That's why I never played football growing up.
Okay.
It wasn't until I went to East Orange Panthers. They had an unlimited team. And from then they was like, oh yeah, you could come play over here. Now I'm 12 playing with 14, 15-year-olds because there's no weight limit.
Hmm.
So then now after that, it was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm playing structured football. I don't even know if I like it yet because I ain't never put pads on. I ain't never been hit before. All of that. Like it was a lot, you know. Now I gotta practice. I'm like, I don't know about this, man. I don't think I want to do it, right? So then it was this kid, and we actually ended up playing freshman football together. What was his name? I forget what his name was, but his nickname was Herschel. He got
Okay.
that from the, you know, the running back, Herschel Walker.
Walker. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So he got that nickname, and we was doing, you know, the drill, the head up drill, where it's a circle and then it's two, you lay on your back. I mean, I'm telling you, it made a lot of people quit.
I
And
know
to show
exactly
you,
what you're talking
like,
about.
right, exactly. So I'm telling you, it'll make a lot of kids. It weeds out the kids of, do you really want to play this sport? Because football is not really a sport that you could just play for fun. You got to actually love it.
Yes.
You know. So we did that drill, and he hit me, and I blacked out, and I woke up, and I was looking at the sky. I was like, yeah, I don't think this is it for me. I don't think I got this one. So again, my godfather, he was like, Jay, you're not just gonna quit. You start, you gotta finish.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I don't know. But then, like, after that initial hit, I was like, well, it can only be up from here. Because I mean, that was clearly the bottom. Like, there's nothing you could do but get, as a defensive lineman, to get ran over by a running back on your back, black out, and everybody laughing at you. Is nothing but up from there. So I continuously played, and then after that, they started seeing, the coaches was like, oh, we might have something, because I'm 12 and I'm killing these,
the older heads, yeah.
Like, just because, like, like I told you, I was that athletic kid growing up, and I'm killing them. They like, oh, we might have something. So then, as time goes on, we ended up winning the championship, and that's how my football career got started.
Nah, that's crazy. Then being in East Orange is nothing but athletes over there anyway, man. Like,
Right.
Yeah, they just groom them, as far as so. And you saying you playing with the older heads too, man. So did the baseball and all other stuff kind of just fizzle out, or?
Nah, not really. So baseball didn't fizzle out. It was just that I was too old to play Little League, but then I was too young to play in high school. So 7th, 8th grade is it was like a weird space, because I couldn't play high school baseball at the time.
Yeah.
But they had a middle school basketball team, and that's where I kind of picked up the structured basketball space at. So I played basketball and football for 8th and 9th grade, and then I picked baseball back up in the 9th grade.
Yeah, but what your grandmother said when you went out for football, I know sometimes mothers and grandmothers got their positions on those.
It's different than it is now, Like, I'm not gonna say that she wasn't involved, because she was, but she wasn't as involved as the parents are now. Like, now parents are like,
crazy.
Right, it's crazy. Like, and I just kind of noticed that, because I started my own, like, defensive lineman academy, and it's kind of crazy just to see how involved these parents just want to be, And I don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. But I mean, there's lanes, you gotta stay in your lane, let the coaches coach. And so my grandmother was one of those. She was just like, you're clearly in good hands in, Daryl. So it's just like, I'm good. Like, if he's not gonna put you in any harm's way, so it'll be great, So she like I said, I don't want to say she wasn't involved. She was involved in the sense of making sure I was okay and making sure he was taking care of me in the space that he knew how to. After that, she was just like, go be a boy. Go play.
Nah, good stuff. Now, even middle. So you went obviously elementary, middle school, everything in Orange, or you went? I mean, grammar school, and then you went to Orange Middle, then to Orange High.
Yeah. So, I went to Oakwood, and then from Oakwood, Orange Middle, then Orange High.
Playing over in East Orange, did, as far as, was there no doubt in your mind you was going to Orange High, or did somebody try to pull you away, or?
I mean, like, and again, like, the private school space is not as big as it is now. Like, not saying that they weren't there, they were there.
Okay.
Right. But even in my eyes, I was just like, coach is gonna find talent, So it's just like, why would I leave somewhere else? Right. And then now I gotta worry about how I'm gonna get to school, this and that. Like, we, coming from Orange, we wasn't rich. It wasn't like, oh, well, you're going to take this bus to get there. Nah, I rode my bike to school or I walked to school. Yeah. So, it was no doubt in my mind that I was going to Orange. I knew I was going to Orange, whether they came or they didn't.
Nah, I remember I went to Orange High, and I lived over in Dodgetown.
Okay.
I'm over there, so obviously walking or taking the transit, all that stuff. Right. So, I remember all that, man. So you get to high school here, like, right from the door, you playing varsity, or you?
So for me, like, because at that time, I think Orange was getting into a space of, because Orange has always been a basketball town.
Yes.
Like we always been good at basketball. So, all of the players there that came through there, great players, right? So Orange football was never really outside of Willie Graves. Like, I mean, Terrell Willis,
Mhm.
like these were the guys that was just like known for playing football, but the team wasn't that great,
Mhm.
So now we're on the cusp of being good. So, we have in my position, we had another defensive lineman, Jason Green, who was the guy at that time.
Okay.
He ended up going to Minnesota,
Mhm.
and I want to say like five, like first five to go D1 out of Orange. I would say. I mean, I don't know, like I don't have the facts, but I would say first five, somewhere around there. So my freshman year, I played freshman ball, but
Okay.
when I did get there, like now I got my football, like I'm good now. Like I know what I want to play. I know how I want to play. I get to freshman league, and then my coach, Rick Wilson at the time, he was just like, well, we need somebody at kicker. I was like, oh, I'll do it. So I played kicker, and then he was like, "Oh, well, we need a quarterback." I was like, "Oh, I'll do it." So
Mhm.
I played my freshman year. I played fullback, defensive tackle, kicker, and quarterback, all in the
What?
same year. All in the
Yeah.
same. Wow,
Yeah.
yeah, wow. So but Coach D knew, like he let me dress with the varsity, and now that we talk, he's like, "Yo, I should have played you. Like it was no reason why I should have. Like you could have been a factor in, because I think we went to the playoffs that year. My freshman year, we ended up playing. I want to say it was Morristown. Yeah, it was Morristown.
Okay.
And he dressed, like I got dressed that game, and he was like, I should have put you in there, because like we got killed that game, because it was like them boys, they was running the ball. That's all they was doing. And I played D tackle, right? If they would have put Jay Green at that in, me at D tackle, I think we probably would have had a shot. I think, but hindsight is 2020. We can't go back, right?
Right.
But no, so so I played freshman ball. Freshman ball, I played all those positions, and I played JV my freshman year.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then even with that, now did you? I know you say you got back to and you played baseball. Did you wind up playing basketball as well too? Or?
Yeah. I lettered in 3 sports
Okay.
in Orange High. So I lettered in baseball. I stopped playing baseball my sophomore year. Only reason was because the fastball started moving. Like,
Mhm.
in middle school, the hardest pitcher I would say that I went against in Little League was a Bree Jones, who ended up being my quarterback.
Mhm.
But he was the hardest pitcher, and nobody hit him. So
Yeah.
then now I get to high school, and my sophomore year, I'm out there, and now he's throwing fastballs. Now these fastballs are going about 80 miles an hour, but
Yeah.
they're moving now. I'm like, nah, this
Yeah.
not it. I don't want to get hit by no 80-mile-an-hour fastball. So I
Mhm.
was like, I'm gonna finish this season and I'm gonna wash my hands of it.
Yeah.
So I played that up until my sophomore year. I played basketball up until my junior year.
Okay.
Yeah, junior-ish year, somewhere around there. And
Okay.
that was it. Like once I knew football was my thing, then I kind of X'd out everything else.
So what did you do as far as this like training and conditioning back then? I mean, because when you say you knew it was your thing here, so what did you lock
So
in? Do summer
yeah,
camps and all that other stuff?
it's crazy because like my mentality was a little bit different, and I think I'm still wired different than everybody else, just
Okay.
because I get to a point where I'm kind of it's one track minded, right? I'm one track minded, but then I want to be great at whatever whatever I'm set on. You know what I'm saying? So once I figured out that football was going to be my thing, I would. And now that I look back at this, I'm like, this is crazy, right? But every morning, right, 5 o'clock in the morning, before school, like this is high school now. This is my freshman year all the way up until my senior year, like all the way through. I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? We didn't have money. So I didn't have money for a weight vest. So I ended up making one. So
Okay.
we had like these loose weights. We had these loose, like, they were like rusty weights in our backyard. And then
Was
you
it,
know the
was it the
belts that
sand?
you
Was it the sand joints or wasn't the sand
no, it
ones?
wasn't the sand. No, they was just metal. They was the
Okay.
metal rusty ones, and it was like it was what was it? It was 2 5 pounds, a
Okay.
10 pound, and 2 2.5 pounds. And we had you know the squat belts that you use to squat.
Yes.
So I duct taped those to the belt, right? And then now that was my weight vest. So I would run to bell every morning, right? Run the bell. And this was before school started.
So
I
you
would
run
run
it
the
down
bell.
Main Street.
Yeah, so all the way down Main Street to
Mhm.
Bell, do stairs, right? Run back home, shower, then ride my bike to school. And that was before school even started, right? So ride my bike to there. Then we would have weightlifting at after school practice, and I would do that every morning. So that was my training before anything,
Nah, man, that's just a sign of things that obviously ultimately came from you, man. You just look at that. That's just wanting it. You know what I mean? At
Yeah,
that age, sometimes even being young, we know it but don't know it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But it's just
right.
then the improv too, man. To just make your own weight belt. Man, we ain't
Yeah.
whine and complain about nothing. We did
Because you
something
know
about
what?
it.
It was the fact that for some reason, and I didn't know why, I was just like, I don't want anybody to be better at me
Mhm.
in this sport. And
Yeah.
it was just, I don't know why my mind is just like, it's wired like that. It's just like, oh, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna definitely be the best at it, period. Like there's no hands down, like I'm gonna be the best at it. And I don't want anybody else happen to be like, oh, well, it's questionable. No, I want to demolish this sport.
Mhm.
So it was just like, I'm still wired like that to this day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah. That's great to hear, man. And then sophomore year, you take off.
So it was so sophomore year. It wasn't that I took off yet, but in the space that I was a big kid and
Mhm.
I could move and at that time we played both sides of the ball. So
Right.
it was like 20 22 kids on the team. So we played both sides of the ball. So it was my first offer, which was crazy to me, was Syracuse, but they wanted me for center. So I didn't take off, but I was just like shocked that these schools was looking at me at this point. And I was just like, at center? That's crazy. Like they really want me to play out here. I'm like, I might be good. Like I might have something.
Mhm.
So I didn't take off yet, but I was starting to feel like I could be really good at this sport.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, like I had a decent year. It wasn't like crazy, like it wasn't crazy like standout year for me. I don't think. It wasn't until like my junior years when things just kind of went haywire.
Yeah, but if you can even think back, even during that time, man, obviously I didn't get to senior year and all that, but being in high school, you puberty, everything going on, girls,
Right,
everything, man.
right.
Like, academics, obviously the main thing you're supposed to be there for, but just family life, trying to juggle whatever trials and tribulations. Like, I mean, it sounds like again, when you like locked in, like you kind of locked
Yeah.
in everything, man. But
My only thing was I think my struggle wasn't girls. It wasn't anything else that a, like a typical boy would have. Like my struggles was academics. Like
mhm,
I wanted to be the class clown for some reason. Always just wanted to make people laugh. So my grades was never up to par, even though I could do the work. I know I
mhm,
could do the work. I mean, at that time, Orange curriculum wasn't that great. Like it was just like you could get it done if you wanted to.
yeah,
But I was just like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like I want to do this. I want to, So my grades weren't always up to par. So that was my only struggle. Like
mhm,
going through the Orange system, that was my only struggle.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then even with that being said, man, you get it, you pull it together, you get it together here. You mentioned the letter from Syracuse, what you got from Syracuse. So I'm sure the shoebox or wherever you kept stuff had started to just fill up here.
Yeah. So like I said, my junior year is when it started to get crazy. So I go in my junior year, but again, now I'm completely locked in
Okay.
because now I know that, there are schools looking at me.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, I need to get this going. Like, let's see what's going to happen. So I go out there, and now like I've been coached up. Like I know how to play D line now. So this was like, and I think that was key. And again, like wired differently, because before it was even being taught, I was already doing it, right? So we're using my hands, right? Which is key for defensive linemen. If you know how to use your hands, I mean, like it's just like playing wide receiver in some aspects where you can, you know, if you can get off the block, you can get open, right? So I was already using my hands, and then playing these other sports, as far as like basketball, right? My footwork was great. Yes. So now I'm like I said, I'm locked in, and I'm coached up as well. So now knowing how to use my hands and being taught how to use them is two different things. Like being taught how to use them, how to use moves, when you know, when to deliver them, that plays a part. So then now I go into my junior year, and I would say, I think I ended up with 20 sacks.
Okay.
20 sacks in my junior year, right? And I told myself, I was like, I don't want to play offense. Like, I mean, I'm good at it. Yeah, I don't want to play offense though. That's just not my thing. Like, I know I want to be a defensive lineman. So if these schools don't want me for defensive lineman, then I'm not gonna go, right? But after my junior year, I would say I had about 40 plus schools at that time. So it was, yeah. So that when I say the shoebox started to fill up, I'm like, me and my grandmother was getting annoyed at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you know, and I mean, no, not that it was a bad thing. I mean, it was a great thing that, you know, people want your son, right? Mm-hmm. But then you have to be respectful of the times you call. Like they would call at 11, 10, like we in bed. Like you can't be calling at this time, you know? So my grandmother and I was just getting annoyed. But I mean, like I said, it was a great time, though. Great time.
Yeah, with that being said, man, I'm gonna digress for 1 second. Even now you guys, you guys beat Scott throughout your whole time there, right?
We lost to Scott it was my junior year, we lost to Scott. Because we came in, we was the it team at that time. Like we had the nickname the greatest show on turf, because you know we had Bree Jones, right, throwing the ball, and he was amazing at that time. I think it was a Bree. I want to say it was a Bree. Yeah, it was a Bree. Yeah, my junior year was a Bree. And then we had fast wide receivers out there. And I mean, like when we say the greatest show on turf, like we had that old school turf that was like carpet almost. Like it wasn't like the stuff that we got now, like the grass. Like no, it was like carpet, and you had to, you know, special shoes for that. Mm-hmm. And when we had track guys out there, Akil Bukar, Kafani Allen, they would go, you know, and they were fast. And then you had me, you had Jay Green, we had a bunch of guys that was just good. So we were the it team. So we went into Scott my junior year, and we was like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill them. And I want to say we were up by like 20 by the half. Okay. And then after that, we kind of just started chilling. We like, oh, we got this. Like not knowing we had a whole half in front of us. So we get back out there in second half, and we couldn't stop nothing. Like legit nothing. And they came back and they beat us my junior year. Yep. Beat us.
Yeah. Now, I had to make sure I asked. I know the Orange Scott thing was always a big thing, no matter what sport it was. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they were trash at that time too. So it was no reason we should have lost to them. But we ended up losing. And it was a wake-up call. It was a humbling. Because there was no reason we should have lost them. We did, because we had all the athletes and we lost. And yeah, we woke up. up. Mm-hmm.
Now you mentioned letters and accolades, all this stuff is coming in. And how did the whole, obviously outside of the calls, everything else here, how did you kind of did you have somebody help guide you as far as that through the process?
No, not really. Just because, like I said, Jay Green, he was, he was one of the only guys that, that I knew that came out of Orange that went D1, like legit D1, and Big Ten D1. And, he was away at school. So there was nobody for me to bounce this off of, because again, like, I'm like, who can I talk to kind of walk me through this, There was nobody there that I can be like, oh, you went through this. how'd you deal with it? You know, because I'm a guy that likes to listen. Like I don't like to bump my head and then be like, oh, you no, like if you tell me this is how you do it, I would take that advice and I'd apply it to my situation and then kind of maneuver how I need to maneuver. But I didn't have anybody, so I just kind of had to, you know, me and my grandmother, both of us, and you know, my godfather at the time, we all just had to kind of sit down and figure it out, you know, because again, like there was no blueprint for it. There was no blueprint for it. It was just like, hey, here's these schools, they like you, pick one. So I mean, like it was no really, you know, like I said, no blueprint to kind of figure it out. Just had to kind of figure it out.
And even with figuring out, how did you narrow? Who did you narrow down? Ultimately, I know you went to Penn State, but
Yeah.
any other schools was in the running that you considered?
Yeah, it was. I mean, to me, there were only two. There were only two. Like I knew it was either going to be Penn State or no, sorry, it was three. So it was Penn State, Notre Dame, and Miami. So those three were, you know, my top three. Notre Dame I canceled out because I think they was like, you know, I talked to the coach and he was like, oh, you got to go to mass every Sunday, this and that. I'm like, I'm not going to college to go to church. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. Like, I get it, but I'm not doing it. Right. So I crossed them out. And then, so I went on, how many visits did I go on? 4, I want to say. I went on 4 visits. So I think I went to Rutgers just because it was the hometown team. I went to Virginia because they were playing Florida State and I wanted to see that game. Went to Miami, I went to Penn State. Yeah, so I went to 4 schools. My Miami visit, best visit, I mean, I've ever, hands down, like it was the best visit that I've ever been to in my life. So after I come back from my visit, my grandmother didn't go with me to that visit. She went with me to Penn State. So she didn't go to Miami. So I came back and I was just like, oh, I had a great time. You know, it was amazing. And actually that year, they won the championship that year. I want to say, 2002. I want to say they won the championship that year. So the game was over around, I would say 12 or 1 o'clock at night. I watched the whole thing. And I was like, Ma, I'm calling them to tell them that, and it was Coach Hargraves at the time. I think he was like a linebacker coach at Miami. I was like, hey, I'm calling my recruiter coach right now. I'm telling him I'm coming. I'll be there next year. She was like, boy, hang up the phone. You're going to Penn State. I was like, what? I was like, Ma, there's no way I'm going to Penn State when Miami is right here because, like, so let me, a backstory, like, I mimicked my game after Warren Sapp.
Okay.
So Warren Sapp was, you know, be all end all for me. Like that was my guy. He wore 76. I wore 76 in high school. He wore 76 at Miami. They played on turf. He wore the Jordans. I ain't had the Jordans, but I had Nikes. So I tried to, everything that he kind of did, that's what I kind of emulated my game off of. Of course, we weren't the same size. I'm a little bit taller. But as far as like finesse, speed, that's what I had. So I was like, no, my idol went there. I'm going there. She was like, hang up the phone, go to bed, you're going to Penn State. So that's how my choice was made. Not saying it was a bad choice because again, that was my top 3, and I love my time at Penn State. It was a great time at Penn State. But that's ultimately how I got to choose. Well, I didn't, but yeah, that's how I ended up there.
Did your grandmother say as to why she wanted State versus?
Yeah, she told me. She said, and this was, I want to say a couple years ago. I asked her, I was like, why'd you choose Penn State for me? She was like, ultimately, I didn't think you would graduate. I think you probably would have had kids and came right back home. Because if you look at it, Miami, Coral Gables is in the middle of Miami Beach and South Beach. Both beaches on both sides are 10 minutes apart. So she was like, you already not being a guy that likes school, right? I know you wouldn't have been in class. And now I'm not even close enough to check on you to make sure that you are in class.
Yeah.
So she was like, if I would have let you go there, you would have been back home. And then that would have been a defeat in the purpose of you actually going to school. Like she told me, she was like, it was never about the football for me. It was always about getting your education, and then whatever else comes from that is a bonus.
Yes.
Like you can't, once you get your degree, then everything else that comes from that, cool, I'm fine with that. But you have your degree, so I'm good with that. So yeah, that's why she picked it.
That's what. Yeah. Wow. So we get to State College, man. I mean, Penn State is pretty much all of Pennsylvania, the other branches and everything else. But obviously, you down at State College, man. Like just getting there, man. Like leaving Orange there. Like just what are you thinking? Like
It was a culture shock. Culture
yeah,
shock. Like when I tell you a culture shock, because you go on these visits and they make it pretty for you.
of course.
Like they'll put everything that you think you want at school, or with everything that you thinking college looks like. Oh, they'll make it look like it.
Mhm.
So my visit was my visit, but then when you actually, when they drive and they take you up there and drop you off, even that part, like, I mean, it's a 3-hour drive. My grandmother came with me. Who else? I want to say, did Reggie Miller come with me? I forget. I know it was like 3 or 4 people who came with me, and I went up there early because I had time on my hands, and I was like, if I could start classes, then I'll do that. So I went up there early, and they dropped me off, and it was like, all right, well, here's school.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? And mind you, like Penn State is huge.
Right.
I mean, on average, it's 40,000 kids. On average, and that might be a bad year, but on average, 40,000 kids. It's a huge campus. So they dropped me off, and they just like, oh, go ahead, go do what you need to do. So I'm, just that alone was just like, what do I do now? Like, what's happening? So, they walk me around this and that. And I'm still just trying to, catch up to what's happening. And I'm telling you that my freshman year was crazy.
Yeah. Now, do you redshirt or do you play right away or?
Yeah, I redshirt, but only because my coach he gave me the opportunity. So Tamba Ali, who also came out of Jersey, he was from TNAC, and he was a 5-star recruit. I was a 4. We both ended up going to Penn State.
Okay.
But at the time, we needed my freshman year, Coach Larry Johnson, and I mean the best defensive lineman coach I've ever played for. He was like, Jay, listen, we need a D tackle. I was like, no, I want to play defensive end, So, and I don't know why at that time defensive end was so. I mean, it's a fancy position on the D line, but I mean at that time, like I was just like, oh, I want to be a defensive end. I don't want to play 3 technique anymore. I want to play defensive end. And he was like, all right, well, if you don't want to play, then I'm gonna ask Tamba. I was like, all right, cool. I'll ask Tamba. So Tamba ended up playing his freshman year, and I ended up redshirting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what that extra year do for you while you was redshirting? Because it's like you're practicing and everything, but not playing in the game. So that had to be adjustment, not actually playing in the actual game.
But for me, like I said, like my mentality was different. Like I always thought that I was the one that was starting from the bottom.
Okay.
Like I didn't mind the grind. Like I actually love the grind of seeing the progression of where I started from and then where I'm finishing. So me getting there, my red shirt year, I'm like, yeah, I know I'm not playing in the games, but now I need to work on my craft. Right. So me being me, I'm just there. I'm last one in, first one in, last one out. First one in, last one out. I didn't care what it was. Like I knew I could play football, and I knew that, hey, listen, you give me an opportunity at the position that I want, I'm gonna kill it. So so that it wasn't bad for me my redshirt year, just because I knew where my mindset was. Like I was good. I'm like, I'm gonna take this time and really improve on my craft. Really improve on my craft, and that's what happened. Improved on my craft.
Yeah.
So, for me.
Then you get going, but before you even talk about the individual stuff, Coach Joe Paterno, man, like you just being down there, man, just obviously.
And I mean, now, or not, I wouldn't even say now, but a couple years back, he got a bad rap.
Right.
And for me, I was just like, I mean, you know how the story goes. But again, like, it was just like, I didn't think he did anything wrong. Like, he told who he was supposed to tell, and that was it. But on the football aspect of it, he was a father figure, So, I mean, he's the one who kind of taught you those ropes of becoming a man. Because I was a kid going into college. I'm 17, 16, 17, 18, going into school.
Mhm.
Not, coming from Orange, only, one real father figure in my life. And then I'm just like, well, I'm getting up to Penn State. I don't really know how to be a man,
Yeah.
certain attributes that you need to become a man. He kind of installed those into me, and it was just like, I appreciate Joe for everything that he did for me, everything. Like, he was the only, like, I think I was the only kid he came to Orange for, period. Like, ever. Like, he came down here, he gave an assembly for the whole school. He talking to Orange High, like, hey, the only reason why I'm here is because of this kid right here. And I'm like, thanks, I appreciate it. And I don't appreciate it now. Well, I didn't appreciate it then as much as I do now,
Yeah.
That's big to have Joe Paterno come down and be like, hey, listen, I'm here for this guy. That's it. You keep it 100. Like, hey, I'm here for him, but I'll talk to y'all. Like, but we need him,
Yeah.
So I appreciated that, man. He was a good man. Good man.
And that he did. He got you, man. And you playing in the Big Ten, man. Like, the Michigans, obviously your boys over at Minnesota. You got Ohio State. I mean, just going in these stadiums and playing, man. You at Beaver Stadium, the all whiteout games, like television, man. Like, how are you taking all this in?
Like I said, it's a culture shock, but at the same time, like, I know the preparation that took me to get to this space. So not near one time was I ever nervous. This is the space that I wanted. Like, I wanted to show everybody what I was doing. Like, this is the practices that I was doing. So now when you put me in there, I'm gonna go crazy. So my redshirt freshman year, I was an undersized 3 technique at this time, because now we had nobody. They moved Tamba back out to N. We had a couple of 3 techniques. They graduated. And we only had N. So he was like, Jay, you have to at this point. I was like, okay, I'll go down there. And at this time, like, I left Penn State. I left Orange High at like 255, So then now I'm playing 3 technique at Penn State at 265. And this is when they ran the ball. This is when, like, the Big Ten, that's all they were known for. Running the ball. 3 yards in a cloud of dust, that's what you got from them, So I'm an undersized 3 technique at this time. And it didn't matter to me. Like, I was still gonna go out there and play. But there was a few times where I got welcomed to the Big Ten. It was we were playing against Iowa, and I forget the guy's name, but he was a first round pick, and I want to say he either went number 1 or number 2. What was his name? Gallery? Something Gallery. We ended up being teammates in Oakland, which is crazy. But he was at Iowa at the time. Was it Iowa? Yeah, it was Iowa. I want to say it was Iowa. It was one of those. It was either Iowa or no, it was definitely Iowa. So my welcome to the Big Ten moment, like, I beat him on 1 play, right? The second play from that one, I'm feeling good now, because I'm like, oh, my first play, I beat this guy. Oh, I'm gonna be good. The second play, this guy picks me up, literally picks me up, 265, picks me up, and died. He body slammed me on the sideline. I was like, oh man, I don't know. I think I need to put some weight on. Like, it was bad. But again, it was another space where it was just like working from the bottom up to get better. So that was my welcome to the Big Ten. And after that, it was just like, oh yeah, I got to get better now. And then that's when I turned it on even more, because I needed to see what I was getting. Like, I needed to get that body slam again. Like, when we go back to, how I started playing football, it's the same thing, Got slammed, woke back up, and just like that, I'm balling. Same space. Got slim, got back up. Now I'm turning it on. And then now, yeah, it's a ball game after that.
Yeah. And I gotta say, because I will forget, man, I love the fact that you on a D line rocking at 13.
Oh yeah, facts.
Yeah, yeah.
That was my favorite number. So my first home run I hit wearing 13, which was Little League.
Okay.
And my first basketball championship was wearing 13.
Okay.
So that's why I always kind of loved that number. So that's why I wore it was Warren Sapp, and then 13, 7 and 6 equals 13. So I wore 13 there. My freshman year, my redshirt freshman year, I wore 85 at Penn State, which was an ugly number. And then after 85 is when they gave me 13. And then I was just like, oh, I'm good now.
Hey, nah. That should look real ill on a D line, man.
Right.
Nah. So, man, you figured this thing out. You said you had no problem putting in the work, and that you did. You know, so I mean, obviously, team success. You know, individuals get looked at even more. But I don't even think it made a difference, winning or not, because I mean, you just excelled, man. Like all Big Ten, all this, all that, man. Like, does the NFL cross your mind, or you just kind of like just going with it and see what happens?
Like honestly, like I didn't really start thinking NFL until like my junior year.
Okay.
My junior year is when I had, I guess, my break. It was like that in high school too. My junior year is kind of when I had my breakout year.
Okay.
And my junior year, like I had 9 sacks at the D tackle position. And at that point, like it was, you know, like we didn't really have no 3 techniques that could really get to the quarterback. I ain't really start thinking like after that season, I was like, man, I could really go somewhere. And then word got back, you know, it's like, oh, well, you got a first, second round grade. I'm like, what? So I'm like, oh yeah, I could really do this now. And I mean, and honestly, like, I mean, looking back at it, I probably could have left my junior year if I wanted to.
Okay.
But again, like I didn't have my degree at that time, and I knew that's what I was there for.
Yeah,
I was like, I got my degree, you know? Yeah.
That's what grandma sent you there for.
Exactly. Football was secondary.
Yeah. And obviously, you come back for your senior year, do well, and obviously not graduating. I mean, college, all that. Now it's time. You know, that whole process. I mean, just not even talking about necessarily being drafted right away, but just the work in between and the work even at college, like the off season, man. You start learning this is probably like this is a business. Even obviously college sports here, like.
But you know, it's crazy. You don't really get to see. I mean, being like one of the top tier players on your team, right? You don't really see the politics that come along with it because they give you everything. It's just like, you know, right? You know, it's just like, hey, you need this, well, make sure it happens. You need this, make sure it happens. You know, as long as you stay on the straight and narrow, they'll make sure you're good. Like, I mean, there's a bunch of times where, I mean, I could have got kicked out of school. Like it was okay. So 1 year before that, it was just like, they were like, Jay, well, you know, you're gonna get kicked out of school if you don't, you know, produce dean's list 1 year. So I ended up doing it. But I'm just saying, I only say that to say, like, they'll make sure you're good if you stay on the straight and narrow. So a lot of times you don't really see the politics just because, like I said, they give you everything. It wasn't until I got to the NFL when I started to really see like the real business side of it. And it was no longer football, which kind of, it took a lot of the, you know, enjoyment of the game away, you know? But I mean, like I said, it is what it is.
Yeah, before you get to the league, man, how was this so like you working out for teams, man? How many did you have to work out for a lot of teams?
So I only had 2 personals, which was the Giants, and then I worked out for Minnesota, I want to say. So these were just two personals. And then I went to the combine and then had about 20 interviews. Cause I mean, basically you're a piece of meat when it comes to the combine. That's how you feel. It's basically like you got a number on your back, height, weight, they take all of that, your measurements. Now go out there and run. And that's, you know, you feel like a piece of meat. But you end up, they give you time where, and it's an all day process. And, you know, you end up talking to, you know, I mean, I guess whoever wants to talk to you, it's 32 teams. So I ended up talking to 20 of them, and it was crazy, crazy. But I mean, it was a good experience in the space of, you know, me just being one of the ones that they wanted to talk to. You know, like I was appreciating it of that, because it was just like, man, like it could have been anybody. I mean, I know I put in work, but I'm pretty sure there's other people out there that put in work as well, but they want to talk to me. So I take it. I love it.
Yeah, nah, which you should have. And I mean,
Yeah.
I think that just comes from the results of, like you said, that work you don't put in, man. And I know, just even with that being said, man, you get that day, man, where your life changes, man. Where were you?
Uh, so this story is crazy, right? So I want to say I went through every emotion that you could go in
Mm-hmm.
on that one day, or even in those few hours. You go through every emotion: anger, sad, happy, uh, uh, everything, right? Nervous, scared, all of that. You go through all of that in that one space. So, like I said, I had, or what the people were telling me is that I had a first, second round grade, late first, mid second, or late first, mid second, somewhere in that space. And you know, I went to the Hula Bowl the year before, and I played with a lot of guys. And I mean, at that time, you don't really understand that teams draft, or they should draft for needs, right? Wherever you fit, like you might not be the fit for this team, so that's probably why they don't pick you up. I didn't see it that way. I was just like, I'm better than all of these defensive linemen that they're taking, so I'm angry. And mind you, I'm at Hooters and Wayne at this time.
Okay.
I have about four or five. No, I'm lying. I had a gang of people with me. Actually, I had about 12 people with me, and we all just, you know. And I thought, like I said, I thought I had a first or second round grade. So I had a bunch of people out, take the whole back section of Hooters, and we all just hanging out there. So I'm going through every emotion, because I see the first round. I was like, all right, I'm okay with the first round not being a thing. I'm like, okay, if I don't get picked the first round, cool, whatever. So now I'm just focusing on the second round. So I'm going through the second round, and I'm like, how did he go before me? Now I'm getting angry, because now you like, oh man, I wanted to do this with that. I wanted that with that money. Just keep dropping, just keep dropping. So then now it gets to like the end of like mid second round.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, maybe it was like late second round. And then now I'm mad. I'm like, yo, I'm leaving. I want to go. So then now I told my homeboy, because I ain't had no car at the time. I was telling him, I was like, hey, listen, I want to go home. Just take me home. It's like, I want to say it now, it's like, you know, because they did first, second, and third round on the first day.
First day. Okay.
Now, yeah. So now they do what? First, and then second, third, and then so on and so forth. But they did all 3 rounds on the first day. So now I'm like, I'm going home. It's like 12 on the clock, because now they're going into the third round.
Mm-hmm.
And we driving home, and I'm just chopping it up with my homeboy. I'm sad. I'm like, yo, I don't even know where I'm gonna go now, because they not picking me, this and that. And then I would say around 12:00, I forget what time. It was like 12:30, I think. I get a call from the guy that trained me at Penn State, which was Mike Waffle, and he was the D-line coach at the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, Jay, how do you feel about staying home? I was like, what? Who this? Why are you playing on my phone? So now I'm mad now, because I'm like, oh, you playing on my phone right now? He was like, no, this is Coach Waffle from the Giants. We're going to pick you up in the third round. I was like, no way. You got to be kidding me right now. Yeah. So now I was like, stop the car. And I think we were on First Street in Newark. Mm-hmm. First Street in Newark. I get out the car, and I just immediately start yelling. Like, oh, I just got drafted, this and that. I'm like, take me to my grandmother's house, right? I woke that whole street up. The whole street, that whole dead end block, everybody, we beeping the horn. I'm like, I just got drafted. I'm going home. I'm staying here, this and that. So I mean, that was, like I said, I went through every emotion, but at the end of it, it was a great feeling, because I got to stay home. Well, I mean, but now it was a gift and a curse. But at that time, I'm like, yeah, this is home. You know, I love it. I love that I get to stay here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, nah, man. As you're just saying, I could just imagine you just up and down that dead end street. Yeah, nah, I can only imagine how elated you was, man. Now
Yeah.
you agents and all that stuff here, man. Like, so obviously you had to get an agent. I mean, and how
Yeah.
how do you that whole process? How did you someone just give you this individual and you just kept them, or you line some folks up?
So what I didn't end up keeping my agent. He was a young kid from Richmond, Virginia, Alvin Kills. And at that time, I mean, he was just more focused on the lifestyle than actually, And then the thing is that rookies like, and now that now that I look back at this, I didn't need an agent my rookie year, because you're all slotted when it comes to your rookie contract.
Right.
Your rookie contract, if you look at what the guy got, last year, you'll get X amount more than he got, and that's where you are. And that's what your rookie contract is. Like, there's no negotiating really. Like, you don't really need to do much unless you're in the first 5 picks. Then that's different because now you're talking big money. But I mean, your first, if you're a third rounder, it's just like you look at that one, then that's where you are. So I didn't need an agent, but I did ended up getting an agent out of Richmond, and it was a black guy, and he was just more so in tune with like the life of being an NFL agent or being just a professional athlete agent in that manner. So I don't think he did a great job. He threw a lot of parties. So I mean, I ended up getting a new one, but my second one was cool. But yeah, my first one didn't work out that well.
Yeah, trial and error too sometimes too, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I said, like it's you're in a space where like I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I mean, again, like there's nobody that I could call to get this information from. Like, it's just like, who do I call to be like, hey, I'm having this agent problem. How did you deal with it? Again, like there's nobody from Orange who, or at least that I know of, that was in this same predicament that I could have just reached out to and kind of gave me the insight on what's going on. So again, this is another space where I kind of just had to figure it out, Yeah.
Yeah, man. See, you get drafted, man, and I know you have your siblings and your grandmother. Did you get any new family members?
And then like I said, and that's why I said it was a gift and a curse, right? So playing for your hometown team, you're playing for your hometown team. So there's no, like, you don't really got to know the area. Like, you already know the area, you know what's going on, where to go, like, all of that part. But then now what changes is now you're a professional athlete in your hometown. Yeah. So now I left Orange at this space, right, as Jason Alford, right? I come back to Orange as Mr. Alford to everyone. I'm like, what? Like, I'm a humble guy, so I'm like, yo, why are you talking to me like that? I'm still Jay. Like, wow, what's up? Yeah. Oh no, Mr. Alford for the Giants, this and that. And when I tell you that little bit, and I mean, my grandmother, she raised us to be, very level-headed, kids, or very level-headed adults. So when I got to that space where it was just like, oh, everybody's calling me Mr. Alford, this and that, my head started to get a little bit big, and I'm just like, I'm trying to control it, but it's tough to control, just because now it's, oh, Mr. Alford, what do you need? What do you need? This and that, like. So now my head is huge. I have an entourage. Like, this is just now my rookie year. I'm not listening to nobody. Like, everything changes. Everything changes, and it's. I mean, now that I look back at it, it's just like I was stupid. But I mean, that's what that life does to you, though. If you don't catch it early, or have people in your corner that been through it, or know somebody that been through it, and tell you how to kind of, walk through it, the blueprint, like this was just my own. And I knew everybody didn't go through it. So I'm like, why am I listening to you? You don't know what I'm going through. So why am I listening to you? Get out of here, right? So I just had my own made up my own kind of space, and it was wild. It was wild.
Well, I know you just slightly mentioned something here. What's one of the big-headed things that you remember you doing, man?
Okay. Let's see. Big-headed things. Well, I wouldn't say big-headed, but I would say more stupid than anything.
Okay.
I was, so I based my NFL career, that lifestyle, off of pretty much all of the rappers that we were looking at that time. I mean, Cash Money was big at that time. Dipset was big at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Who else we had? I mean, all of those flashy kind of rappers. So I bought all of the jewelry, all of the jewelry. Like I had a custom Superman piece. I had the 8-row diamond bracelet, the iced out watch. I'm like, you look like a drug dealer. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm just riding around orange with this. Like, it's just like,
just stunting in orange, huh?
Right,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, who, why, for what, And then I bought my first car. It was a Cadillac STS
The
V
Escalade.
Series. No, it was a sedan, but it was the turbocharged V Series with the Cadillac engine. I had presidential tints on it with the blacked out rims, and I'm just riding around orange with this. I'm like, Jay, you come on, what? You know what orange is about? Like, what are we doing here? And I think it was just one of the stupidest things I ever did. And I mean, there's like more. Like I ended up buying like a Benz and then a truck, and I'm spending all of this money for what? Like it's like the mindset that I have now going back. Like I would have had one car chilling and that's it. Started some businesses, But now looking back at it, it's just like you can't change that. It was just dumb. It was dumb to me.
But that advice could be shared just as you're doing it now, man.
Right, which is a plus, because now anybody that has an opportunity to even go to school, I try to come back. And like I said, like I still, me and Coach D, we still have a relationship. So if he tells me like, oh well, I got a guy, then I try to come back as much as I can. I'm busy, but when I do come back, I try to chop it up with the guys that he think can, can make it to that next level. And I try to give them, the gems that wasn't able, people weren't able to give me. So I mean, like I think that's the plus of, me going through it. I can actually share the information now,
No, definitely. You get in that giant locker room, man. Like again, you ain't afraid of the grind or this and that, but some of these guys you grew up watching. Strahan was still there. I mean,
crazy.
You grew up. I mean, you playing next to him. You practice
with him, man. Like it was crazy. Just like you grow up watching these guys, and then now you're legit teammates. This was Stray's 15th year. So he, I didn't see Stray until the season started because he held out of camp that year. He was like, "Oh, I'm not coming back. I'm retiring. This and that." He never retired. So he missed camp. He got fined. He was like, "I'm good." So I didn't actually see him until, the season actually started. But then, just chopping it up with him, like the knowledge that you got, like it was like just stuff that you can't really like. He gave me so much of really like how to slow the game down and break the game down. It's like, you don't really like, there's nothing that any coach can give you that just because he's been in the fire. Like he's been in the fire 14 years in the league. So he's giving me information that coaches can't give because he's been here. He did this, So just having that information alone, I think just put me over the top. Like I was good.
Yeah. What about the rigors of like your first training camp or just training camp in general, man?
It was scary.
Yeah.
I mean, like again, like you see the lifestyle, but again, like there's also like you still have to do, what got you here, like right. You have to like and then now, like because it's only that, like before, like me going through Penn State, like it was school, I was a student athlete, so it was like you have to go to school first and then football. Understood, right? But then now you're a professional athlete. That's it. That's all you got. Like this is it. Football is your job. And if you don't take it seriously, that's it. Like I mean, my nerves still to this day is just all messed up because of how the NFL just treat players, because it's just like again, like none of the contracts are, they're not guaranteed, right? That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry. They're not guaranteed. So once you mess up, that's it. You know, like it's nothing you can do about it. Like, oh, give me another shot. I can do better. No. Once they see like, oh, well, he can't give us what we're looking for. That's it. I'll see you later. So that part alone just bothered me. Like just knowing that, like going through camp, I'm like, man, I hope they don't cut me. And then like, talking to, I had OC there, OC Umenyiora, Matthias Kiwanuka, who was a first rounder a couple years before me. And he went to BC, so I knew him, previous, from college. So he like, Jay, man, just chill out. You're a first day guy, like you gotta chill. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm trying to go extra hard, before they finish the 53-man roster. Like they bring 110 guys to camp, and I'm like, man, I hope I make it. They're like, Jay, chill. Every day, this was my mindset going in, and then I ended up making it. But I mean, of course I did, because I was one of the first day guys. But just going into that, my nerves were shot, man, shot. But I mean, like the experience was great though, just because again, like I'm drafted, I'm home. Like I never looked at it that way. Like it was just, I was always looking at it from a space of I need to work harder, because they could get rid of me, and not just enjoying the fact that you're home, you're playing football as a job. You're playing a kid's game and getting paid for it. Go out there and play your game. Like they drafted you. So clearly they like what you do. Go do it, Yeah. I'm just trying to just work hard, like, oh no. And I think that it hurt me a lot in the beginning of my rookie year, just because I was playing nervous. Because I'm like, oh, I don't want to mess up. Like, you're not going to grade out 100. Like, that's never going to be a thing. Nobody in my defensive line room never graded out 100. I think the closest was like 93 or something like that.
Okay.
And it was just like, I need to grade out to be 100. I need to be this. Man, just go play ball. And I think early in my career, it hurt me, just thinking all the negative instead of thinking of the positive and going out there and just actually playing comfortably.
When you do get out there, remember your first game?
What was it? Yeah, I think it was Dallas. Well, Dallas, it might not have been Dallas, but Dallas was when I got my welcome to the NFL.
And they always had that O-line. Yeah.
Man, I tell you. So what was his name? I always forget his name when I try to tell these stories. But they had this guard, and he was huge. He was like 6'9". And again, I'm still one of the smaller D tackles. And I mean, I don't think I was small at the time. Like I get there, and my playing weight was 302. So I was big for normal people, but for the NFL, I still was kind of like Leonard Davis. That's what his name was, Leonard Davis, right? So this was we're splitting. I'm splitting time with Fred Robbins at this time. So whenever he taps his head, I go out there and get him. So I'm waiting. I'm just on the sideline, and then I see him tap his head, and then I look at my coach. I said, Jake, go get him. I was like, okay, well, here we go. And then now I'm looking at this stadium. It's a away game. I'm looking at the stadium. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm playing in Dallas right now. Crazy, right? Go out there, see the stars on the helmets. I'm like, man, this is nuts, right? So then now I get down, I get my 3-point stance. I got the play, and ball goes out, right? So it's a running play. So then now I do everything correct in the space of doing what you need to do as a defensive lineman to stop, oncoming guys from coming or making the play. So I do all my things correct. Press lock, got my gap, right? And then now I'm looking for the ball. I see the ball, but now I'm still moving. I'm like, what is happening? This guy that moved me after I did everything correctly, he's moved me to the linebackers. I'm like, this. So now he also slams me, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be an NFL player. This is crazy. If I got to go against guys like this every play, like this is nuts to me. So he ended up being my arch nemesis. He never knew it, but in my head, he was my arch nemesis. Every time we went against Dallas, I always wanted to kill him. My next 2 years, I killed him. My next 2 years, right? But my rookie year, well, no, that first game, because in the second game we played Dallas, I had a good game against him. And then when we played him in the playoffs, I also had a good game against him. So it was only that one game where he got the best of me. And it was, oh man, it was nuts. It was nuts. But that's the only, like, my rookie year, I would say that was my welcome to the NFL moment, which was bonkers to me. Bonkers.
And to your point, you playing at home, you in the big market, you got everything going on. It's your rookie year, you're in rotation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just, playing and everything else, man. Like I said, again, I know you shared piece by piece just how you kind of handle that or whatever, but that just had to be something, man. You guys, now you get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So I would say we were a mediocre team. Very mediocre team at the time of, I would say mid-season. I mean, I don't remember exactly what our record was at the time. But yeah, I was just like, if we make it to the playoffs, we make it. If not, then, we weren't that great. Like, I didn't feel like we were a great team at the time, right? So now we get towards the end. We play the Patriots at, the last game of the season.
Right, a shootout. It was kind of like a shootout.
Right. And then I'm like, wow, we are good. We're good. Like now, like, because our defense, we started to get that feel for each other. And we're playing off of each other. We're getting to the quarterback. Like, we're doing a lot of good things. And I'm like, man, we are good. Like, we didn't have the record to show at the time. But I'm like, oh, we're great. We're good, and we already talked that. OC and Stray, they were saying, it was like, if we see the Patriots again, we'll kill them. We'll beat them next time, 100%. I'm like, at that time I was like, looking at our record, I was like, I don't know, but we are playing well, So I'm like, I don't know. Let's get to the playoffs first, right? So then now this is our third time playing Dallas, and we're going into Dallas, playing Dallas, and Dallas is supposed to be the it team that year because I think they were killing at that time. I think their record was like 12-5 or maybe better than that. I forget what it was. So now we lost to them twice in the season. So we're like, we need to pull this one out. We all knew that we need to pull this one out, but everybody was against us at this time. They're like, we don't have no faith in the Giants. Like, the Giants are trash. They're gonna be out of here. They're gonna be coming back home. So we're trying not to listen to the naysayers, We're just trying to keep that brotherhood that we have together in the locker room.
Right.
It's all of us. It's all of us against them. Like, I don't care who else is against us. It's us. It's us right now. We're gonna win this. So we get out there. We beat them, and then now I'm like, oh, we are good now. Now I'm starting to pick it up. Like, it's starting to really click in my head. And as a defensive line, once we get hot, like, it's hard to stop us. And I think, like, if we would have went into the playoffs and had a week off, I think we would have lost. Like, honestly, because I think we were a type of team that just loved the grind, you know? So, like, having everybody that was like-minded, because like I told you, like, I love the grind. Like, that was my thing. Like, I love starting from the bottom and seeing progression. Whole team was like that. We're like, oh no, we're here. We're at the bottom, but we in though. So we beat Dallas, and then now it's like, oh, now everybody's confidence is really starting to build. So I think we had Tampa Bay after that. We go in there, kill Tampa Bay, and then now we're like, oh yeah, it's it. I don't think nobody else gonna beat us now. But then now we go into Green Bay, and Green Bay they're cooking as well, and we're playing at Lambeau Field, which was nuts to me. And the quick story, so when I get to Lambeau, it was negative 24 degrees, right? I've never seen what negative 20, and coming from Orange, you like, it get cold, but when you negative 24 degrees with the wind chill, it feels like negative 50, right? So we get there, I was like, oh, well, let me see if I can, try to get used to this cold. So we all, like, Coach Coughlin, he all made us wear suits, before a game or traveling. So I try to stand outside for about, we get off the plane and then we get to the hotel. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna stand outside for about 2 minutes, see if I could at least get used to the cold.
Mhm.
And when I tell you that wind was cutting through that suit, like it felt like I was naked. Like it was that cold. It was crazy. It was crazy out there. So we get to Green Bay, and again, it's freezing. It's freezing. And but we're playing well. Like I'm even having a good game. And I'm not surprised, but I'm not comfortable. It's cold. So I'm like, I just want to get out of here. But I'm having a good game though.
Yeah.
So we get to the fourth quarter, and mind you, I'm the long snapper, or the short snapper at the time. So me and Zach Diassi, we split time. He was the long snapper, and I was the short snapper our rookie year. So we get to the fourth quarter, and then now the game is basically, I would say, they basically say, the game's really on the kicker. Like if you get an opportunity, it's the kicker's fault.
Mhm.
But this time I was the short snapper, and he missed that first one because of me, because they called the timeout before we kicked and they usually do that to ice the kicker. And they called the timeout, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I hope I don't mess up this snap.
Yeah.
And then this is like this is all going through my head in the matter of a minute, because they call it TV timeout. I'm like, oh man, I hope I don't mess up this snap. But I'm like, nah, Jay, you've been doing this all year. Like, there's no way. It's easy. Snap, hold, kick. Super easy. But I'm like, but what if you mess up this snap though? I'm like, oh no. And then now I'm going like the play's about to start, and then now I'm getting down. I'm like, Jay, don't mess up this snap. Don't mess up this snap. And in my head, I'm like, Jay, don't mess up this snap. Messed up the snap. He got the laces out. Well, he got the laces pointed to him, which is like, you can't really gauge the ball because, if you kick the laces, it'll go either way. Right? He got the laces. He missed the field goal. I'm like, Jay, we just lost. I put that all on my shoulders. I'm like, I just lost the game for us.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But then I talked to Kaufman, and he was like, Jay, don't worry about it. You'll get another shot. I'm like, I don't think so. He was like, forget about it. Go out there and play. Right? So we go back out there, get an interception. I was like, oh, we are going to have another shot. So then now I'm just like, forget it. Just go. Don't even think about it. Just do it. Yeah. Got it, snap, hold, kick, and then now we're in the Super Bowl. So I was like, we ran through that playoff year, or just the playoffs, just because we were so tight-knit as a team. We didn't let any outside information get to us. And again, like we didn't have a lot of social media at that time. Mm-hmm. So it was like, we ain't really we had Facebook, I think. That was it. Instagram wasn't a thing. Twitter wasn't a thing. So I mean, we never let any of the media kind of get to us like, oh, y'all playing an undefeated team. It's like, man, we're going to have playing football. We just going to have fun with it.
Yeah, now, when y'all went, was it the week or the 2 weeks in between?
What, the Super Bowl?
Right.
So you get a week to get down there is your practice week, and then you get media week. So it's 2 weeks.
Okay.
So you get a week, you get down there, you put in, like once you get down there, you have a week practice, like a solid week of practice. And then after that, you have your media day, this and that. It's kind of lax. You have a bunch of walkthroughs. So it's not really practice. Like you put most of your information in, like your game plan, the first week you get down there. And then the second week is just kind of, nothing really happening, just walkthroughs.
Now did you take care of a lot of your business? I know you had other folks to handle things for you. The reason I asked you that is ticket requests. I'm sure that might have, yeah.
Well, okay. So the thing is, and I mean, I don't want to say too much, right? But so the tickets weren't the problem. Like they give you a good amount of tickets. Like I want to say they give every player, I want to say 15. Could be like 15 to 20, somewhere, or no, 10. I don't know.
For the Super Bowl?
Yeah, to the Super Bowl, every player. Okay. Like everybody that's on the team. So the Giants, every player had 10 to 12. It was 12. Everybody had 12 tickets. No, 15 tickets.
Okay.
So and same thing for the Patriots. So 15 apiece. For me, I only use 4 of them because they go for a lot of money. Like this is what it is. They go for a lot of money. So The other 10 or the other 11, I sold them. So
Mhm.
I mean, like I wasn't just giving those away. Like those,
Oh no.
no, you don't just give Super Bowl tickets away. Like that was, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Great, yeah, nice little bonus.
Now, just being locked in those 2 weeks, man, and focusing, man. I mean, I know Coach Coughlin, obviously runs a tight ship there. Just kind of, but
Yeah.
just for you, man, how was it just those couple of weeks, like mentally, man? I know it's a whole lot going on.
What's crazy is that I prepared for it like I prepared for it like I prepared for a bowl game. Like when I was in Penn State, like we went to I was blessed to go to four bowl games, like four
Yeah.
solid legit ones. So me and me in the league now, like I'm still used to college stuff. Like outside of now getting paid to play, like football to me is still college style, right?
Mhm.
To the most part. Like we played in, Beaver Stadium and that holds 110,000. So playing under a lot of people, that was nothing to me.
Okay.
So preparing for the Super Bowl, which is crazy that I think of it, was the same thing as preparing for like the Orange Bowl.
Okay.
So it was no difference to me. Like I didn't really take on like how big the game was. Like I knew it was the Super Bowl, but I'm like, yeah, it's a Super Bowl, but it's just like a bowl game. Like I'm gonna go out there and play ball. This is how I look at it. Like it was nothing that I did different. Like my preparation wasn't different. The only thing that was different was, the I would say the media around it and the halftime show. But everything else was, it was just football to me.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
I remember you saying earlier, you guys said in the locker room, y'all get them back, y'all gonna beat them. So,
So then now
yeah.
we already knew, like it was no doubt in our mind. Like even when we went down, there was no doubt in our mind that we weren't gonna, because we had the recipe. Like we
Mhm.
knew how to beat Brady, and at that point in time, like nobody knew how to beat him, clearly because he was undefeated. So nobody knew how to beat him. Like he didn't really have a real challenge until he played us at the end of the year. So our recipe was get to Brady. He can't get them to these guys. He can't get the ball to Edelman. He can't get the ball to, whoever else was there at the top, Randy Moss, like that. Like that, he couldn't get the ball to them guys. So we like, oh yeah, it was no doubt in our mind that we weren't gonna go out there and kill Tom Brady.
Mhm.
So we get there, and then now we are like when I say like Arizona, this was like when they first built their new stadium, the new stadium in Arizona, and it was amazing, probably still amazing. But the grass there was so low, it felt like how I was playing in high school, like super, like that fast turf.
Mhm.
Like remember, we was the greatest show on turf. When I got to the Super Bowl, that turf, I mean, that grass was that low that it felt like that again. I'm like, oh, we're moving out here. And then now,
Mhm.
like we had this defensive line front that we called NASCAR. And that was the pass rushing, pass. We
Okay.
had OC out there, I was out there, Stray was out there, and I think Kiwi was out there. So that was our NASCAR group.
Mhm.
And when I tell you, it was nothing that offensive line could do. Like
Yeah.
nothing they could do to stop our front four. And this wasn't even like with blitzing. Like we didn't have to blitz. We need to, right? So Spags, and I think Spags is a defensive specialist guru
Mhm.
because his plays, like it revolves around the front four. So if the front four gets home, then all his blitzes are going to get home. Because if you can't stop us up front, you're not going to know where he's going to send these blitzes from. And I'm telling you, he used to send them from everywhere: corner blitzes, safety blitzes, linebackers, everybody. Like it didn't matter. Like, but it all revolved around us getting home. And once we started getting home, oh, it was like clockwork. It was like clockwork at that time.
Yeah, and for you, like you said, just how you rationalize and put things in perspective about playing a game of football. So y'all playing, it's neck and neck. I mean, you guys get that lead, and you know he tries
Yeah,
to.
and
Yeah,
then history, right? So
yeah,
then
yeah.
I mean for me, I would say it's history. I know I'm etched in Giants history. Like I'm Xing Giants history playbooks at this point in time. But in that play, I mean, it always just, it goes back to, me being a rookie, right? And I'm out there with Stray, right? So I'm the 3 technique on Stray side.
Mhm.
So Stray being a 15-year vet, me being a rookie, I just don't want to get in his way.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's just me paying homage to a great pass rusher, like straight hand. So I'm like, hey, what do you need me to do so you could be great? Just what do you need me to do? He was like, Jay, just stay inside because I think I could beat my guy. Just stay inside so they don't double me. I'm like, cool, whatever. But I'm having a great game, like as far as like beating my guy upfield. And again, playing defensive line, it's a chess game, Like a lot of people don't see that. They see, oh, well, it's big guys going against big guys and they just smashing against each. No, playing defensive line is a chess game, right?
Yeah.
So I knew I was beating my guy upfield all game. And I'm like, okay, now it's time for the setup. And I mean, I think I played it well or I timed it well because when I did, he thought I was going upfield. He jumped out and I came back inside. And I told them, like going into halftime, I was like, if I get a shot at Brady, I'm gonna try to take his head off. Like I literally was like, I want to end it. So then I get to this position, everything just slows down for me. Now it's like slow motion because I already beat my guy. The center's going to the other 3 technique, and it's just me and Brady. So it's slowing down. I'm like, I hope he don't throw this ball because he's looking back there. He doesn't see me coming, So he's looking back there, head is up, and I'm like, please don't get this ball off because Brady. And I tell you this, clearly the best quarterback that I've ever played against, right? Because he gets the ball off so quick, like, and then that Patriots offense, he could close his eyes and complete passes. That's how quick he was getting the ball off.
Yeah.
So when I get there, I'm like, just don't throw the ball. So I hit him, and then the ball gets caught on the back of my head. So I thought he got the ball down. So I got up and I'm looking for the ball, or I'm looking downfield to see where the ball is. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until Stray came up to me, and you could see, you could look back at that play and see all of this that I'm telling you. Stray looked at me and he was like, good sack. And I looked back and I seen he was down on the ground. And that's why I didn't have a celebration at that time. Like usually all my sacks, I have a celebration. Like this was college, high school. I always had a celebration. I had nothing planned because I thought he threw the ball already. Okay. So when I seen it, I'm like, yo, I just ended the game. Mm-hmm. And then now I'm like, I want to say that was 3rd down. So I could have actually got another sack if my mind wasn't stuck on this one before that. Okay. Because Brady rolled out, I was right there, and I'm like, nah, I just got a sack. So my mind wasn't even in it at that play. Mm-hmm. But at that time when I got that sack, man, I'm like, yeah, as a football player, what else could you ask for?
Yeah, nah.
What else could you ask for?
Yeah. You guys win. You celebrating, man. It's just like, wow, from college a year ago to Super Bowl champ the following.
That quick. And I think that's when it changed. It changed for me when I said the big head part started coming. Okay. It was that one. That's when, and I mean, it's easy to get a big head. Like I go back home to Orange, key to the city. I get my own day. Probably still got my own sandwich at Sandwiches. Like now I'm the hometown hero now. Yeah. So then now it's just like, oh, I'm the king. Like I did it. Like so then that's when it started to get crazy, and it was wild.
Do you lose focus as far as training in the off season and all that because you're doing some things you shouldn't be doing?
I mean, not really. Not when it came to training because I enjoyed training. Like I enjoyed, getting out there, getting better. But it was the other, like the extracurricular activities that I didn't need to do. Like it was a lot of times where, I think that year, like I was averaging on getting in the house like around, 10 o'clock in the morning. from being out. Like, it was just like, you know, you get your off season, right? So I was getting in at 10, and then I was training at like 12 or 1 in the afternoon, and then like not really getting no sleep, which I mean that, so all plays a factor in, you know, how to, so it wasn't necessarily the training part, but all of the other stuff then kind of affected the training. So it wasn't me training, I was still training, but everything else that I was doing, you know, was kind of affecting the training a little bit.
Yeah. So you stick around with the Giants for a second, but this business you start knowing is definitely a business, and things are just business or political, whatever decisions are being made. And you know, your time with, how did you feel when your time with the Giants ended? Was it, does you know it was business or?
I hated it, you know, and then because again, like you just said, like it wasn't until that time where I realized that it was a business, you know, like how my Giants, you know, it ended, you know, I got hurt, so I tore my ACL in my 3rd year, and this was the year when I was supposed to, you know, they told me, they was like, Jay, you're our starter next year, so you know, start prepping for that. So we get into, this is my 3rd year going in, and I had a great like off season. So I went down to Atlanta and I trained with OC, and you know, I came back in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
I was really like tuning up to be, you know, the starter, the guy. They was like, we might not sign Fred back, we don't know, but you just, you know, just get ready. I'm like, all right, cool. So I get ready, and then I'm having a good game. We're playing Chicago. This was our first preseason game. So my coach, he told me, you know, you'll probably play the first half and then we'll probably pull you. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So play the first half, have a good first half. And then he was like, Jay, just start the you know, the 3rd quarter, and then I'll pull you after that. So you do the first drive, and then I'll pull you after that. And it was 3rd down on the first drive in the 3rd quarter. My own teammate hit me in the knee and tore my ACL. So they told me that, it was like, I went to the doctor. I was like, I could still walk in it, because I mean, it wasn't hurting like a lot of pain. Like, it wasn't a lot of pain. So I was like, I mean, I think I could be back in like 3 weeks. I don't feel like it, you know, I was still walking on it. So I get to the doctor like maybe a couple days later. I think maybe like 2 days later. And then he was like, we're gonna go and we're gonna look at it. If it's worse than what I think it is, or if it's better than I think it is, then, you know, I'll let you know. If not, then we'll just do the surgery while you're asleep, and then, you know, go from there. So when I woke up, he was like, yeah, it was 70% off the bone, so we had to do surgery on it. And he was just like, yeah, you're gonna miss this year. I was like, what? And that's when it was just like, everything to me just started. That was my humbling moment, because like I said, like I was riding high at this point, because now, you know, going from high school, you know, grinding from the bottom to get to where I was. Same thing with college. And then, you know, going into the league, I didn't get that same introduction. It was just more so, here, you're just going, you know, hit the ground running, and you're going to get all of these accolades in this 1 year. And then, yeah. But then now, you know, so like I said, I had a big year after my big head after my rookie and my 2nd year. And my 3rd year is that humbling moment. And I deep depression once I went through that. Like that was a tough time for me getting through that space. It was rough. Yeah.
How did you get through it?
I mean, that whole year, like I said, I turned to alcohol, which was, and again, like I said, like there was nobody that I could talk to. Like I went to my grandmother, who, you know, and my grandmother's my rock. You know, I to this day, like whatever she say is gold in my book. I went to her and she was just like, oh yeah, you know, you'll be fine. Just play next year. I was like, what? No, like this is, you know, like this is what I've been working for. This is what you know, you'll be all right. And then like, to me, I was like, that hurt me, because it was just like, who do I turn to? So I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna start drinking. And that's what I did that whole year. It was just video games, and liquor. That's it. So I mean, it was tough. So then once I got out of that funk, or once I got healed up, like my knee wasn't really like to me. It was. They told me that was like, Jay, and then mind you, it took me a year and a half to actually be fully healed. Like it took a year for my knee to be healed. Or I would say even 10 months. 10 months it took for my knee to fully be healed. But mentally, I wasn't there. Like I was still compensating for this one leg because I'm like, what if it tears again? So I'm playing on one leg. So then now I'm still depressed because I don't really feel like myself.
Mm-hmm.
I get out to Oakland and like I said, the business part of it is now starting to affect me. And I'm just like, I just left the best scenario that I could have had as a football player, right? And then now I'm going to Oakland, what to me at the time was the worst place ever to play football. Like Al Davis, he ran that organization. It was different. It was just like, we pay you, so go out there and play. Like he didn't make anything like comfortable for the players to just want to be there, Like it was just like, no, it's a job. So I'm gonna pay you. You go out there and do your job. The Giants, they were the complete opposite. They were just like, oh no, we're gonna make it comfortable for you. We're still gonna pay you, but while you're here most of the day. We're gonna make sure you're comfortable. So they set it up for us out there. Oakland was completely different. It was just like, here this is all we got. We got this plate of food for you because you get 2 square meals like at during practice. You get breakfast, you get lunch, and they might throw something at you for dinner to take home, like sandwiches or something like that. I don't know. But for Oakland, they was just like, we're gonna cater these foods, keep them on these hot plates, get what you want. I mean, they had like the metal locker rooms, like from like the old school, like the Chicago Bears or the old school lockers. They were metal, super small locker room. Like, I mean, you got guys that's there. That's we're all pretty big dudes. You got this super small locker room, and nobody's comfortable, right? But they're like, oh well, we pay you, go play. So the setup was different, and then me coming off an injury. I'm like, what am I doing here? So my mental was just not there. And then now I don't have that backing of a family, Like I'm all the way on the West Coast now. Like I'm in Oakland, So my family is 5 hours away from me now. So I went from being in the best scenario to the worst scenario. I'm coming off of an injury, right? I'm not confident in my game, right? I'm in this place where they just don't really care about the players in a lot of sense. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. The only person that was there that was from the Giants was the D-line coach that coached me at the Giants. So Coach Waffle, who was with me, who drafted me, he ended up going to Oakland. So that's how I ended up getting picked up for Oakland. But again, he's from Cali, so he's home, So mentally, I'm all messed up. Like I'm staying in a hotel. And I'm still depressed. So I'm not really, having the best time out there. Like not even playing wise. Like I think that was the worst football I ever played in my life to me mentally because I'm playing on my one leg. I can't get anything done. I'm like, what do I do? So it was, seeing that business side and then not mentally being there. It messed me up.
Yeah, because from there you wind up leaving there.
Yeah, I wound up leaving there, and then I ended up playing in this league. What was it? XFL? I forget what it was. It was something, but again, like my football right now. I mean, at that time, it was starting to leave a bitter taste in my mouth.
Okay.
I'm just like, I don't know if I could do this no more, man. This is just like not it for me no more. Because like I said, like after I left the best scenario, now I'm bouncing around, and I'm like, I never wanted to be a journeyman. Never, because it's just like you want to find somewhere, home that you could put your feet down and, and go out there and make plays. You don't got to think about where you're going to be next. And that's how I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I'm going to make the Giants my home because I'm a hometown guy. This is where I'm going to stay for my whole career. This is how I was playing out in my head. I'm like, I have 10 to 12 years here and then, retire and whatever. But then now I'm starting to bounce around. And again, it's just like I don't like it. I hate it, you know. So then I go there, and then I come back home, and I start training again. And I'm talking to my agent, and I'm like, hey, so what's going on? And now I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out at this point in time.
Okay.
This is like year. So I did 3 years with the Giants, 1 year with Oakland, and then the other league. So then, yeah, I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out. No, sorry. So no, I get picked up by, so I get cut by Oakland, and then I get picked up by Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Now Seattle is different because now I'm 100% now, mentally and physically. I'm 100% now.
Mm-hmm.
So then now I'm playing some of the best football ever because I'm back. I'm back on it. I then went home. I trained, and I had like a great trainer, and he really got me back to like where I was comfortable in my game, confident. And I went out there, and I showed up. And then, mind you, this was like the lockout year. So I think it was a lockout year in 2012. Yeah, lockout year. So then now I'm playing the best ball ever. Like, this is camp, playing the best ball ever. Killing it. So then now, once I want to say this was like third preseason game. And then now the lockout ends.
Okay.
They signed 3D tackles. And then, mind you, I'm playing the best ball of my life. Signed 3D tackles because they were cheaper than I was. And then they cut me. So then now that's when, like I said, then that's when I started going back in that depressed state because it's just like, what am I doing? Like, what's happening right now? So then now I get back home, start training. And like I said, I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then I get a call from Canada. And I'm playing in Saskatchewan. And I'm just like, if this is football, I don't want it. I don't want it, you know? Just because I'm NFL ready. Like, I'm NFL ready. I'm like, I didn't prepare for Canada. Like, this wasn't my thing. Like, I did not want to make a career here. I wanted to be an NFL. That's it.
Especially being in Saskatchewan. I spent some time out there, so that's a hype.
Man,
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah,
when
I
I
know.
tell you,
Yeah.
it gets dark super early.
Yeah.
And it is freezing cold there.
Freezing
cold. And I thought Green Bay was cold. I'm like, Canada? And there's no tall buildings to cut that wind. So it just wind all the way through it. So I'm just like, oh, I hate it here. So then now I'm playing, right? But again, mentally, I'm not playing football anymore. I'm going through the motions at this point. But it was but the league was just set up different. You know, like I said, I was NFL ready. So, you know, their defensive linemen and offensive linemen are a lot smaller because you can only have so many Americans playing the game than Canadians. So I think it's like I want to say 7-5 ratio.
Okay.
Like, it has to be 7 Canadians and 5 Americans. I think that's how it's set up. I don't remember. But so it was set up differently. They were a lot smaller, and like I said, I was NFL ready. So I was bullying these guys. Like, I was going out there just killing them, you know, just because they were smaller. And I mean, I knew, you know, it was better players in America. I mean, it's just a thing, you know. Not taking anything away from Canada, but I mean, it's just what it is, you know. So go out there and I'm playing for a year, and I'm just like, yeah, this is not it. Even and again, like, I'm looking at it from a depressed state, from a glass is half empty type space. Like, it was just really just not there. So again, I turned to the bottle again. So now, because the game was so easy then, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start drinking. So I started drinking there. But again, I was playing great just because I was more gifted than a lot of the guys that was there. So I had a good year there. And it was, I think after that, like, they asked me to come back. And I think that's when I was just like, yeah, I think I'm good. I'll hang it up. And that's when I hung it up once I was done with Canada.
Yeah. What you been doing since?
So I do graphic design now. So
okay.
I don't know if you know the car company. Hold on. So like this car company right here, Tops.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I designed cards for them.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go.
so, and like I said, like it all circles back. Like me growing up, I was a very artsy kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually went to school for graphic design, but
Okay.
I didn't want to get back into that space because I was playing football. So it's just like I had to put that to the back burner. But now circling all the way back around, that's what I'm doing now. It's great. I'm having a good time.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
What sports giving you that stuck with you to this day?
Um, Work ethic, man. Like I said, like it's that drive was just different to be great.
Yeah.
And now like even everything that and it's not physical anymore, because football is a physical thing. Even though I still work out, but um mentally, like that never leaves you.
Mm-hmm.
Like to want to be great at whatever you do or whatever you put your mind to is what you're working for. Like that's what football kind of it's ingrained in me. I can't. There's no way I can get rid of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nah, definitely, man. Nah, I appreciate the time, man. You got a few more minutes for me? I just
Yeah,
has,
absolutely.
yeah, put you on the spot just with some questions. Have a little bit of fun here.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nah, when in Jersey, you prefer the Parkway or the Turnpike?
Parkway, Parkway. Because the turnpike is like once you start getting like further out, it gets more expensive. It's just
Mhm.
not. Like no, I'll take the Parkway any day.
All right, so obviously an orange guy here. Main Street or Lincoln Ave?
Uh, hmm. I don't know. That's kind of. I would say they're both good for different things, right? So, being, or going to the high school, it was the pizza spot that was right there. I think Sal's was what his name was. We always used to get $1 slice. And like Main Street is like I guess the hub for everything. Like if you want to go shopping and stuff like that. So I like them both for different reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sandwiches or White Castles?
Sandwiches, hands down. Like they made they named a sandwich after me. Like no, absolutely.
And what kind of sandwiches?
It was the number 93 and it was honey turkey and provolone.
All right.
Everything on it.
So when you went through, you always got that, or you ordered something else?
Well, okay, so after they named it after me, that's the only thing that I got. But before that, it was the Italian cheeseburger with everything on it.
I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah,
Right.
that's my. I just wanted to make sure here.
Uh,
Drawing or football?
um, you know what? I'm gonna go with. See, and that's tough too because those are two things that I love and still love to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they both gave me different things. Football
Okay.
gave me that drive. Uh, Art gave me that creative side. So it's tough to. I don't know. I can't pick. I can't pick with those when it comes to those two. I can't pick.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
State College or Orange, New Jersey?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Orange because that's Orange is what made me. It gave me everything that to be able to get to State College. Like if it wasn't for Orange, like I wouldn't have seen that. Like who knows how it would have played out if I didn't grow up in Orange. I didn't play my ball in Orange. Who knows how it would have turned out? So I gotta go with Orange because that's what made me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see about this one. Bell Stadium or Beaver Stadium?
Again, like I gave Orange some love, so yeah, I got to go with Beaver. Beaver Stadium was it was crazy playing football there. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I say crazy, like it was unbelievable how diehard that our whole town was. Not only the fans there, the whole town was. Like they didn't see a color, it was you put that blue and white on your family, you know. So, and then when you're out there playing on that field, like that was the first time I ever felt a stadium literally shake.
Yeah.
Like it was like people were standing this close to me and I could not hear them speak. Like it's crazy how seriously like they take that game. Like it's nuts. So I love playing there. Love playing at Beaver Stadium.
Yeah, nah, good stuff, man. Best game you ever played in your life on any level?
Any level?
On any level, yeah.
I mean, it would be hard not to say the Super Bowl, right? Like I feel like, I mean, it wasn't like that was the only play that I had. Like I had a solid game in that game as a defensive tackle. Like I had like, you know, I want to say a sack and a half, like 4 or 5 tackles. So, and that's like on the stage of, you know, the biggest stage is a football player. You can't, you know, like I would be a fool not to say that the Super Bowl wasn't my best game that I had.
Yeah. Any game you like to have back?
Yep. And to this day, it's still one of the hardest losses that we ever had, and it was Del Barton, Orange, New Jersey. I mean Orange against Del Barton, and it was my junior year, and Calfani Allen, like we were going back and forth. I think it was like three overtimes, maybe something like that.
Okay.
Red had the opportunity to end the game. He beat his cornerback, right? Beat him. He fell. He was by himself and he dropped the ball, and we lost the game. And that still hurts me to this day. That loss.
Yeah. Someone who should have made it, and just throughout your life, whether it was however you define made it, whether it's pros, whether it's college, or
well, I wouldn't say, because I think in every right he made it, but I think that I think Corey Boyd was one of the best all around athletes or running back that I've ever seen. Like, hands down. And I think he should have had a shot. He should have had more shots in the league than he did, because I think he would have did well. I mean, because now if you look at the backs now, you know, you got that Derrick Henry, like you got guys like that that's out here. And I think Corey was similar build. Like he wasn't as tall, but he had similar running styles. And I mean, I think he would have excelled if he would have had a fair shot in the league.
Corey's solid, man. Had a chance to talk to him, man. Solid.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. Good dude.
Best athlete you ever saw?
Best athlete? Well, like all around athlete, or
however you want to define it.
I want to say, because so like what we going, like football, or we talking about like all sports, or what we saying?
That's just football players.
I'm gonna say me then. Me.
Okay, absolutely, no doubt.
Absolutely,
no doubt. Now, speaking of which, would you put yourself in this question here as far as top 5 football players from Orange High ever?
Come on, like what are we talking about? Because like, so we saying, all right, so we're saying football. Okay, I would clearly be number 1, right? Because if you look at it, right, what do we defy as a football player, right? Like what's the accolades? I had those, right? I was All-American in high school, All-American for 2 years, right? College, All-American, did that. Pros, Super Bowl, did all of that. Got drafted, did everything that you could possibly do as a football. Hands down, me, number 1. There's no, like, I mean, I don't even know if that's really a debate. Like, I mean, people can go off of their opinions, right? Like, you can go off your opinion, but facts are facts. Like that's just what it is. Like there's no, you
Yeah.
can't debate facts. Like it's just like, oh well, he was this, he did that, he did. Yeah, he did. But did he make it to where I did and finish out where I did? Facts are facts. You know?
Nah, fact. Nah, I hear you. Any other some of the best players you've seen at Arch or heard about or?
Well, no, like I said, Corey was one of the best. He was also one of the best players that I ever seen at Orange. Jay Green, just because I never seen a big guy move as well as he did. Like he was great too. Deshaun Morris, who was a quarterback before me, he was a freshman. Oh no, he was a senior when I was like a freshman. And watching him play, he reminded me a lot of like the quarterbacks we got now. Like he was great at quarterback.
Yeah.
Bree Jones, Malcolm, I forget what his last name was. But he was good. Like we had who else was good? We had a few, man. A few that was like really, really like standout athletes. I'm just like, yeah, these guys are nuts. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like I wasn't like I don't think like basketball, football, but like all of those, but no, football I was good at. But there were some guys that could do everything. Like Corey is one of those guys that could do everything. Like early. Like he could play with the big boys at a young age. Like he was talented. Very talented guy, man. Very talented.
Yeah, you already answered this one because I was gonna say were you the best ever football player out of Orange? But facts are facts.
Facts are facts. Like it's just that. I mean, it's not debatable. Like I mean, to me, it's not debatable. Just because it's just like, what's the argument? Like how could anybody say like, oh well, he's better than Jay in what aspect?
Yeah.
Because it's just like all of the accolades are there. Like it's not like even in high school. Like if you want to debate that, like I was an All-American, 4-star recruit, 40, 50 schools after me. Like what are we talking about?
Nah, you ain't getting no argument from me. Nah, you feel you got your just due, just in general?
I mean, the thing is what? Like you mean as far as like what?
I would just say it just do just overall, like even
I mean,
overall.
People who have long careers wish they could win a Super Bowl, and people who wish they won a Super Bowl wish they had long careers. The grass is not always green on the other side. I mean, I got what I got, and I'm thankful for that. Like God blessed me to get drafted, to get out of Orange. To see other things, to win it, like to win the Super Bowl. Like I mean, like that game alone, people still recognize me. Like I was able to actually put that city on the map. Like me getting to that pedestal of being a Giant and this and that. Coach D has a relationship with the Giants now. They give stuff to this. To the team, because of, how far I got, and that's not saying, like, oh, well, Jay's this, Jay's that. Nah, like I was blessed to get what I got. And I'm thankful for that. Like, I'm thankful for all of the coaches, making me who I am, not having Coach D, that could have changed, not having Coach Johnson, who knows what I would have put me, so absolutely. I definitely think I got my just due.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of actually getting my degree. My grandmother, like that was her wish, Like school wasn't my thing. It was never my thing. Like it took me 7 tries to get my SAT scores. Like there was, it was a grind. It was a grind, but I got it. But school wasn't my thing. But to see her or to actually be able to bring her up and her see me walk across that stage with my cap and gown, being able to give her my degree and be like, hey, this one's for you, like I don't think nothing making her happy was the beyond of everything, you know. So I mean, everything else was again like it was extra, you know, like she said, everything else is extra as long as you come home with your degree. So being able to do that, I think that was, you know, that was it for me.
Nah, that's real, man. That's
Yeah.
real.
Mm-hmm.
Best part about being Jay Alford.
I mean, again, it's the drive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like everybody, everybody's not built for, you know, football, this and that, but your work ethic and your, you know, the way you look at things, that part I think is what makes me who I am. You know, you can't teach that. You just have to have it. You
Yes.
know, so me having, you know, the ability to, you know, in every space just kind of block everything else out, whether it's, you know, because, you know, growing up at Orange, you know, they tell you like, oh well, you're not gonna make it, this and that, you from Orange, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, block all of that out early, you know, and just work, you know, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a lot of people that can do that, you know, block out everything and just go to work. Like so I mean, I think that's definitely the best thing about me.
What would this Jay tell a 17, 18-year-old senior Jay? What would you tell? What advice? What would you tell
I
him?
mean, there's levels. Like I mean, like I think I would have walked me through, you know, the whole. Even though, you know what, I think I probably would have still ended up picking Penn State, but you know, probably that part, and then probably once I got to the league, you know, be smarter. You know, like there was a lot of dumb mistakes that I made that, you know, I'm not proud of, but they were made, and it was just like I could have went about that situation a lot better. You know,
Mm-hmm.
not saying that I got in any trouble. Like it was no trouble or anything, but it was just like there's better ways to do it, and then that probably would have maximized, you know, the 4 or 5 years you were in the league. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I think I probably would have talked myself, you know, a little bit more once I got to the league.
Nah, that's good, man. And my last one, what would your grandmother say about you now?
Uh, I mean, just going over there talking to her now, she tells me how proud she is of me, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's just not even, you know, with all the accolades. Like, I mean, those fate. I mean, like, you know, whatever you did, right? It was, but her just, you know, the man I become, you know, things like that, you know, accountability, like things like that. Like, she's just very proud of the man that I became. So I think that's what, you know, she'll tell me.
Solid, man. Jay, I just want to say, man, thank you. You know, from the bottom of my heart, man. Like I said, I've loved this everything that you said. Just getting a chance to finally meet you after, you know, obviously hearing and seeing so much about you, man, and just talking about just simple as far as early on not having no man figure. I know your godfather and a couple other people helped fill that void here, but just you saying you used to run from your crib down to Bell Stadium with a weight
That's
jacket
the
that
thing,
you
because and again, like those things that
yeah.
people don't know about, but those are also the things that build your character and make you the player, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or the person. It's the little things that people don't see that make
Mm-hmm.
you great. And
Yeah.
I tell all the kids that I coach that it's the little things that you do when people don't see. That's the things that make you great. Because
Mm-hmm.
nobody's seen me doing that. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. None of my teammates is up. Like it was just things that I was just like, I feel like this would make me a better player. Let me do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, it's different mindset, man.
Nah, definitely, man. And you know, like I said, I'm inspired even just listening to it now, man. I just appreciate you, man. You being officially you, I don't know, somewhere or will make me officially me, man. And like I said, I'm just like humbled and taken back, you know, you just spending some time with me, man.
Hey,
Like I
whenever
said,
if I got time, man, if you want me on, just give me a call, text me.
nah,
So, you know, yeah,
nah,
we got some stuff to talk about, man. We'll chop it up.
nah, I appreciate it. Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. Thank
Mhm.
you, man. This has been special, man. I appreciate it.
You got it, absolutely.
All right,
Thank you
now
for having me.
we'll talk, man.
You know it.
All right.
Later.
All right, peace. Nah, good stuff, man. Like I said, got my Super Bowl champ. But outside of that, man, he just a champion in life, man. Like I say, you heard, Jay's story here, man, has come up, but he never throughout the conversation talked about how hard he worked in some capacity or another here, man. Just things for us to continue to do with ourselves here, man. With that said, I'm gonna just be out. Put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.